Well, I don't know the details of how we got here. I don't have any factual information on the investigation findings, but I did get a text from the city manager yesterday informing us that the investigation was completed and they will be making an announcement to remove the police chief by the end of the day. It's my understanding that there was a report had gotten to the operations manager, which is the city manager, Christopher Lagerbloom, on Thursday of last week. And yesterday was when the policymakers found out, at least me. And I was disappointed in how it got there. I had no input in the decision he made, but he is the day-to-day operations manager of the city of Fort Lauderdale. And he also consulted with the city attorney, Alan Boileau. So they came up with this idea that they would recommend it to fire the police chief. It's disturbing to me because we had just turned the page in our police department and in our city, and I think the choice of words he used, the police chief, could have been the determining factor as to why it became discrimination. But I think we're all missing the big picture, which is diversity. If we're pushing towards a goal of diversity and inclusion and making this city and the police department in particular look like the community, the words were taken out of context, in my opinion. I'm not defending his reemployment. I'm not defending the process. I'm talking about diversity and the lack thereof in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Just 2 years ago, we were 32% blacks in the city of Fort Lauderdale. In the police department, we're less than 14%. I think somewhere around 12.1. We have a new report that just came out. I don't have those statistics. And I think because we didn't have a police chief since Frank Adderley, we had Rick Maglione for a little while, our numbers went down. So we need to get those numbers up, and I don't think it's just in terms of blacks. Diversity means it looks like your community. And sometimes when I go home, I see a community that looks like me, and when you go home, you see a community that looks like you. But until we can get them all in one place and look in a room and truly see diversity, what have we accomplished? Day one, coming to the city of Fort Lauderdale, diversity is one of my #1 objectives. And we're still performing at less than 31%.
When you hear like something he said, he looks at the wall of the pictures of the hierarchy of the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, says that wall's too white. I'm going to change that. What are your thoughts?
Again, I think if that's what he said, the analogy could have been taken the wrong way, but I still think his heart was moving towards diversity. One choice of bad words in this business is career ending. But no one's talking about what we had to do prior to this chief coming to town, which we had an issue or a problem in our police department. And we had no consistency at the top. We had no diversity in the department. We had institutionalized, in my opinion, a good old boy mentality in that police department. And that's why the numbers will never change. I think we need to pick people based on qualifications. And this is the second time in a year I've seen promotions taken away and given back, and we're using the word diversity, but I think each one of the promotions, each time, those officers were qualified. No one's talking about that. We're talking about black and white. Let's look at qualifications from the pool that we do have. And let's go get a pool that represents the community, because you can't tell me we can only find 14% of the population that looks like me or looks like this community when we're trying to increase our diversity numbers. Under Rick Maglione, our numbers went down. But in his platform to include diversity, we went down. He changed the process. He was the police chief at the time. He did what he thought was best, but our numbers went down. In our fire department, we had a decree saying that we had to meet certain thresholds in a 15-year period. We never met that threshold. So this commission, we decided to set our own threshold based on that decree, and we removed the decree because it was a recommendation from the state to remove the decree because it had been in place for so long, and they thought that it was no longer needed. But you always need somebody, someone, looking at diversity and inclusion. I'm a policymaker, and that is one of the policies that I push for from day one. So again, Ted, it's just we got to see where this goes, and I still think we should go out and get an outside police chief for this job, so that we can get some transparency and keep moving towards our goal of making Fort Lauderdale Police Department better.